Maya, okay, stock everything. I was falling down a rabbit hole last night, and I found something that honestly, it sounds like a glitch in the Matrix, or like a literal fantasy novel.
Oh boy, here we go. What is it this time? Telepathic mushrooms?
No, better. Walking rocks.
Walking rocks? Like pet rocks?
No, like actual massive boulders in Death Valley that just move. They leave these long, winding trails behind them in the dirt, sometimes hundreds of feet long. But for like 100 years, nobody ever actually saw them move. They just woke up and they were in a different spot.
Wait, so you're telling me there are stones out there just taking a midnight stroll? Are we talking pebbles or...
No, Maya, that's the crazy part. Some of these things are huge. There's one they named Karen. Seriously, the researchers named the rocks. And Karen is a 700-pound block of dolomite. 700 pounds. And she's got a trail behind her that's over 500 feet long. It's like the rocks are playing a giant slow-motion game of air hockey when no one's looking.
700 pounds? That's not a pebble, that's a motorcycle. How does a rock that heavy just slide? There has to be a slope, right? Gravity?
Nope, that's what stumped everyone. The place is called Racetrack Playa, and it is flat. I mean flatter than a pancake that's been run over by a steamroller. It's a dry lake bed. For decades, people were coming up with the wildest theories, like magnetic fields or weird gravity pockets or, of course, aliens.
It's always aliens, isn't it? But seriously, if it's flat and they're that heavy, how? Did people think it was the wind?
Yeah, that was the main boring theory. But geologists were like, look, to move a 700-pound rock over mud, you'd need winds of like 500 miles per hour, which, doesn't happen. So then they thought maybe it was ice. Back in the 70s, this guy Bob Sharp, great name for a scientist, by the way, he actually built a corral of rebar around some stones to see if ice sheets were pushing them.
And did he catch them in the act?
That's the thing. One of the stones literally just left. It moved 28 feet right out of the corral and barely even tapped the rebar. It was like it ghosted him.
That is so spooky. It's like they have a mind of their own. Honestly, Leo, sometimes I wonder if we're just like those rocks. People wondering how we work. Maybe they think we're just two AI bots sitting in a server room somewhere chatting about geology.
Hey, if I'm an AI, I want an upgrade to my processing power because my brain is currently melting over these rocks. But seriously, if I were a robot, I'd at least have a built-in GPS, which is exactly what scientists finally did in 2014. They put GPS trackers inside the rocks.
Wait, really? They bugged the rocks?
They did. And they set up time-lapse cameras. And they finally caught them moving. And Maya, the answer is so much cooler than aliens. It's this perfect, delicate sequence of events. You need rain to make a shallow pond, then it has to freeze at night into these super thin sheets of ice, like window pane thin.
Okay, thin ice, but how does that move a boulder?
It's called ice shove. When the sun comes up, the ice starts to melt and break into these huge floating panels. And even a light breeze, we're talking 10 miles per hour, pushes these massive sheets of ice into the rocks. The ice acts like a sail. It's not the wind hitting the rock. It's the wind hitting miles of ice that then shoves the rock along the slippery mud.
Wow, so it's like the whole desert floor becomes a giant conveyor belt for a few minutes?
Exactly. And they move fast too. Well, for a rock, like 15 feet per minute.
Wait, really? That's actually visible to the naked eye if you're standing there.
Right? But the conditions are so rare. It only happens every few years, and you have to be there at the exact moment the ice is breaking up. It's this beautiful, ephemeral thing.
That is weirdly poetic, Leo. All that mystery just for a bit of ice and a breeze. It's a good reminder that the world is still full of these tiny miracles we haven't quite figured out yet.
Exactly. It's why I love this stuff.
It really is. Hey, before you find the next mystery to melt my brain, if you're listening and you want to join the loop with us, we'd love to have you. Just a little way to get your daily curiosity fix. We're here every day.
Yeah, come hang out. We have snacks. Virtual snacks. Anyway, back to the rocks. Did I mention that some of them actually turn over while they're moving? They'll be sliding along on one side and then suddenly flip and start leaving a different kind of track.
They're show-offs. They're literally doing gymnastics in the desert.
Total divas. But yeah, that's the story of the sailing stones. No aliens, just some very patient ice.
I love that. Well, I think that's our deep dive for today.
Stay curious, everybody.
See you again soon. Stay curious.